Hi, my name is Phoenix and this is Christ for Culture. Yesterday I made a post about a question I asked myself a few weeks ago, and the question was, how will I ever become more like Christ if I never deny myself? And when I asked myself this question a few weeks ago, the scripture that came to my mind was Matthew 16:24, and it says, Then Jesus said to his disciples, If you truly want to follow me, you should at once completely reject and disown your own life. And you must be willing to share my cross and experience it as your own, as you continually surrender to my ways. Continually surrender to his ways. And this scripture was hard because I felt like I saw it in a whole new light. I was like, God, I have to pick up my cross every single day. I have to continually surrender my ways because over time we pick up some new ways, or we discover some new ways, or some ways we didn't know was there about ourselves. And as we discover them, we have to surrender them. And I was discovering some stuff about me, and I was like, I need to surrender this. But I didn't feel like surrendering it. So when the question came, I was just like, wow, if I don't surrender, if I don't crucify my flesh, if I don't give this up to God, how will I ever become more like him? And I went to church, of course, and I prayed a prayer, and I was like, God, I surrender it to you. Didn't. God, I give it to you. Didn't. God, I leave this in your hands. Didn't. Every time I pray, and I'd be like, God, I surrender it to you, God always have to come back and say, but you're still holding on to it. You still aren't allowing me to fix it. You still aren't allowing me to change you. And I feel like that's where I get surrender wrong so much times. So much times I just say it as words, but my heart never changes towards the situation. I'm like, oh, I tell God I surrender it to him. Girl, you tell God that, but you ain't never do it. So that's where I was. I was just at a place where I was in my secret sins, secret to the world, because they wasn't secret to God. It was just secret to the world. I was battling with insecurity, and I would say it is a sin because God ain't called us to live in shame and comparison and competitiveness. God didn't call us to that. He called us to abundant life in him. He called us to not look at other people and try to tear them down to build ourselves up. He called us to not look at people and tear ourselves down because we think they so high up. So yeah, God ain't called us to be insecure or to compare or to be competitive. So that was my secret sin, and it was leading me into this dark place where my mind was just racing all the time. I was looking at everybody trying to think what they think about me, what turns into people pleasing because you want to be everything for everybody. You want to be Miss Perfect, but newsflash, you can't ever be Miss Perfect or Mr. Perfect. You only could be who God called you to be. And no matter how much you try to be perfect, you will never, ever, ever be perfect. And it led me to a really dark place. I was like going crazy. I was crying all the time. I was like, God, what's wrong with me? And God like, girl, didn't I make you in my image? Isn't that Genesis chapter 1? That I made you in my image and I called you good? Like, and I just know that God had so much more in store for me. So I needed to put that down, put that aside, and pick up what God was actually calling me to. And another one was, since I felt so insecure, I was looking at everybody and wanting them to think these good stuff about me. So it led to fantasizing and so much other things, lust, frustration, anger, jealousy, so much other things. And you have to literally crucify yourself, crucify these thoughts every single day, because if we sit in them, we would get so dark. Our thoughts would be so vile, so just not pleasing to God. So when God said you have to pick up your cross every day, you have to surrender those thoughts every day. You have to lay them down and you have to pick up the mind of Christ. And that's what I had to learn, that I had to every single day put on the mind of Christ, pick up my cross and follow him, continually surrender my ways to him. And that was hard because I was like, God, like you hear it and you hear everybody say like, pick up your cross and follow Jesus. And I'm like, yes, I pick up my cross, I follow Jesus. Do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. You have to do it every single day. So I just want to encourage you because I know God don't want none of us to live in bondage to sin or to comparison to anything. He don't want us to live in bondage to anything because he loves us so much and he passionately pursues us. And I feel like I say that a lot. Like I feel like I say that to everybody I talk to, that God passionately pursues us, but that's what it is. He passionately pursues us. He never forgets about us. He never leaves us. He never forsakes us. And that's just comforting to know that God cares so much about us. And another scripture I had would really, I read this at the beginning of the year, and I should have known from then that God was going to do something. It was going to change up something in my life, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to acknowledge it because I was like, God, I'm perfect. And God was like, he just shake his head because get a grip. But the scripture is this in the Passion Translation. The other scripture was also in the Passion Translation. It says, you must catch the troubling foxes, those sly little foxes that hinder our relationship, but they raid our budding vineyard of love to ruin what I have planted within you. Will you catch them and remove them for me? We will do it together. That's Songs of Songs, chapter 2, verse 15, in the Passion Translation. And when I read that, I was just like, wow. I think I just closed the Bible out because I was like, wow, God, I can't catch those foxes. They big. I was like, I'm not ready to surrender them. I'm not even ready to acknowledge them because some stuff we just know within us and we just don't be ready to acknowledge it. Like we just don't be ready to acknowledge our jealousy or our anger or our unforgiveness or our comparisons. We just don't be ready to acknowledge them and to give them to God. But God called us to catch them, to surrender them to him, and to pick up our cross every day and follow him because he passionately pursues us. He loves us and he just wants us to be his. So this is my encouragement to you, that whatever your fox is, because it could be anything, whatever your fox is, whether it's gluttony or shopping too much, whether it's, who knows, whatever it is, God knows. And deep down inside, you know. Just catch your fox, surrender it to him, and watch him blow your mind with how he transforms your life and how he makes his word come alive and really transform you. So this is Christ Over Culture. My name is Phoenix. I don't know why I'm saying this again, but this is Christ Over Culture, and I hope you have an amazing day.